Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned.
Tune to madness, down the rage. The world's a jungle, stage by stage. Shock Monkey Radio. Feel the static, let it go. Monkey Radio. Twist it down and lose control.
Someone said to me this week, Madman, there's big money to be made in breeding horses. And I just said, dude, everyone's trying to break me lately. Like, break me on the horse issue, break me on the loving everybody issue. And let me tell you something. Let's go through the logistics of me buying horses and breeding them. All right, first of all, you need there's big money in it, but you need big money to get into it. All right, you need a lot of land, you need stables, you need money to buy the horses, you need money to buy the alfalfa and hay or whatever the hell it is that they eat and get so big on, the grass that they eat. You need what are they, a farrier? The guy who makes horseshoes? Or is the farrier the guy who feeds them? I don't know. They have like special names for all the jobs you got to, provide for. You got to hire a bunch of people. All right. First of all, that's the biggest hurdle right there. Second of all, you need to hire trainers. Hire trainers to train the horses to run fast because that's where the big money is in horse breeding. So you need people on your property riding all the time, riding the horses all the time, running around all the time. And imagine me sitting in a house just with pillows over my ears. The nightmares I would have. Not to mention, just to avoid the nightmares in the evenings, every evening, I'd be wandering into the stables. You can bring up the picture now. I'd be wandering into the stables with a 12-pack of beer saying, "Where are you? Where are you, you evil creatures walking on your toenails? Shh. Where are you, Victor Von Doom?" They all have bad guy names. All right. Victor Von Doom, you can get anybody pregnant. And where are you? Where are you? Where are you, Victor Von Doom? Get out of my face, Victor Von Doom. And the horses are all looking at me. That's right, Victor Von Doom. You, Anakin Skywalker, you're slow as molasses. Slow as molasses. And you just wait until FDR and Woodrow Wilson are old enough to start breeding. You just wait, because the Baroness is about to pop out another fold, ain't you? Ain't you, Baroness? Anastasia de Cobre. I'd be yelling at the horses all the time. And then they'd start bucking the riders. Jockeys wouldn't want to ride them. Why are they so mal-tempered? I don't know. Because there's a madman yelling at them every night in the stables. So no, I'm not going to get into horse breeding. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I am your host, The Madman. I have a Patreon. Please go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word, and you can send me money that way. Or you can follow me on social media over here. If you're watching right now on Facebook, I would highly recommend that you go over to our YouTube channel where the video quality is a higher quality. Is the audio the same quality, though? Probably is, right? Yeah, it should be. So, Thanksgiving's coming up. I made this cool picture. It turned out pretty good. Once I took the words out of it. I got a wedding coming up. I've been thinking about getting some mustache wax. What do you think, EK? Get some mustache wax and get all like, what'd you call me, Winthrop? One time you were watching me, I was playing with my mustache. Are you ready to do the show, Winthrop? Like, yeah. I'm ready. But is it too like fanboy to try to like do it like Gavin McInnes? Because I'm afraid that like if I start using mustache wax or something, I'm not going to stop. And it'll be like an everyday thing for me. And I don't know. I think it's kind of cheesy to try to look like your heroes. But in a practical sense of the argument, I could say that by doing the mustache like that will make my fat face look a lot thinner. All right, so if Gavin ever confronts us, he stole my look. What, hipster?
No, it's a face girdle.
It's a face girdle? No, it's handlebars for sex, so you can... Woo, getting raunchy right off the bat. So I had something like a weird compliment the other day. I had a friend / patron. It's kind of the same thing. He said, "Hey man, I want to thank you for giving me some good advice on a movie. You know, you have real insight and instinct," he said, about movies. And obviously, you know, I like movies. I talk about movies quite a bit. So people talk to me about film because obviously I like talking about films. And so he said, yeah, I'm thinking about going to see Happy Gilmore 2. And I was like, oh, don't bother. He's like, why do you say that? It's like, it's probably going to be terrible. And he's like, why? I was like, you know, Adam Sandler hasn't really made, you know, a really funny film in a while. In fact, there's been no real good comedies for a while. And plus you're talking about a film that was Adam Sandler in his prime when he is like full of testosterone and angry all the time, you know, where he's like, I have a really funny idea for a movie where I fight Bob Barker and lose. Hilarious idea, came up and obviously hatched in the mind of a person who is very, very angry. And like I've mentioned before, it's like, listen to those old Adam Sandler CDs, and there's like 80 tracks of, you know, high school janitor getting beat up by Adam Sandler. Kind of, it's like, it's weird. But having been a young man about the same time and having a lot of testosterone myself, I kind of liked that kind of stuff back in the day. Now I'm older, there's less testosterone, and so I also would write films that were less funny than I would when I was 19 and angry. So he's like, man, that was good advice. That was good advice. And I was like, glad to be of assistance, but I don't know if that really makes me any more insightful or than anyone else. You know, it's because somebody says, hey, there's this new movie coming out. It's like, oh, it's going to suck. And you're like, he's probably right. No matter what the film is. It's like, I haven't even told you the title. Doesn't matter. It's probably going to suck. And what I think is interesting is that I have rated some modern movies before, and some of them do rate fairly highly. So what I'm starting to see is not so much like a box office like payout for the studios that actually makes a film great. You know, we're kind of back to the cult era. You know, EK and I were talking about Big Trouble in Little China earlier, and that didn't do super great at the box office, but it became a cult classic, you know, in the secondary market. You know what I mean? And so that's what you're starting to see, I think. It's like a box office movie will come out and they're like, man, nobody came to this Julia Roberts movie. But it shows up on like Netflix like a year later on these pay services, and people start to like it and be able to watch it in comfort at home and start to appreciate and enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? And so we're kind of getting this, like, things are not necessarily becoming a fad like right out of the bat. They kind of all sleep until they're good. Anyway, he also said that he said I made him feel dumb because I was talking about the Harley Quinn thing, where she's like I'm a little girl kind of thing, and it's kind of a creepy, like, come on for pedos. And he says, man, I feel real dumb for not noticing that. And it's like, don't feel dumb for that, dude. You know, I've been around Harley Quinn, and she's been yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be subtle, first of all. And, you know, I've been dealing with Harley Quinn, this hatred of Harley Quinn for almost 30 years now. And I couldn't put my finger on it until 2 weeks ago. So don't feel dumb. And I'm not exactly a genius. Okay. So don't feel dumb, you know? Anyway. Let's talk more about these people challenging me about who I love and who I shouldn't love. Somebody said to me, it's like, Madman, you even love people who murder or do other horrible crimes that, like, say, rhyme with grape? It's like, yes. And it's not like I'm going to invite him to Thanksgiving dinner. All right? It's not like that at all. It's not like I shouldn't protect myself from them and protect my family from people like that. But I do love them as a human being, and I hope they find redemption. I hope they find Jesus and understand the errors of their ways, because God loves comes through me and extends out for me, usually in jocularity, and it is open to everyone. That's why this channel is public on YouTube and on Facebook. Anyone can watch it if you dare. Well, I guess there's the age restrictions on YouTube and Facebook. Anyway, plus I do the warning in the beginning to scare people off. And plus, I'm ugly. That scares people off. And plus the content I talk about is pretty intense, and that scares people off. And I'm fairly intelligent and erudite in the way I speak, and that kind of scares some people off. So I don't know. Maybe I'm telling you to unsubscribe. I don't know. Ugh, weird mood today. But yes, I do love those people. I hope they find Jesus. But I don't have to associate with them. I can certainly fear them, and if they break into my house, I should be able to shoot them. It's like, I love you, but you really should have broken into my house. You really scared me. My family's here. And so, yes, I do love them. And the law says that they should be dead or in jail. And I think we need to do more of that, because there's way too many these repeat offenders still walking the streets. Like the 3 strikes law, I guess that's not a thing anymore. Anyway. So yeah, and so it's law's place to judge you here on earth, And so hopefully the law will do that. But ultimately, it's God who is the real judge. It's God who is going to judge you for what you do. So, yeah, unless you get summoned to jury duty, or become a judge, it's not your place to judge anyone, even if but even if you are on the jury, or even if you are a judge, ultimately you must know that God is the real judge. Man's laws can only do so much in the face of evil. I'm Batman. I like that. That's a good old Batman line. Man's laws can only do so much in the face of evil. I'm Batman. What? Oh, got the price is wrong. That's the one. Sorry, Adam Sandler. I think he's done. He's burnt out, man. Honestly, he films himself going on vacation with his friends, and that's a movie, I was watching some body cam videos the other day, and I was watching this drunk, tons of DUI videos on YouTube, and I was watching this one, and every now and then a cop will ask this question, and I always liked it, because I was drunk when I was watching this video, and so it kind of like threw me off just watching the video. And so the question was, so let me ask you a question. On a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being the most sober, you've never had anything, you're 4 years old and you never touched your drop, most sober you've ever been, and number 10 being the most hammered you've ever been, where would you say you were at? That series of words hurts coming out of my mouth. The improper grammar. Sometimes I'll watch those videos and I'll go to the comments trying to grammar police. And sometimes I have gone in grammar police people in comments. And then one day this guy commented and said, just one comment, First Amendment. And I was like, There should be no law restricting the freedom of speech. So we all have every right to talk wrong if we don't want to talk good. I don't have to like it. I don't have to like it. EK cracked up. Yeah, it's just defeated. I'm sorry, but that's a sidetrack. Anyway, so there's this question that cops will ask. 0 sober, 10 is the most hammered you ever been. Where do you fall on that scale? All right, and so since I had a couple drinks at me at the time, I was like, I don't know, probably about 4. And then I thought, if I said that to a cop, the cop would say anything less than 0 means I can arrest you. Or at least make you do standardized field sobriety tasks. They're not tests. They're tasks. And so, but then I started thinking of the most drunk I've ever been. There's this one time I passed out in the chair and bashed my head pretty good. I was pretty hammered that one time. And there's that one time I drove off from a friend's house. I drank about a case of beer and drove off. And, there's been times I've been pretty hammered. So if I had been on the side of the road, and even if I had no beer in me, if I was completely sober and the cop said 10, The most drunk you ever been. I might get stumbled up just thinking about, wait a minute, when was the most drunk I've ever been? Was it the hotel room when I was in the Navy, when I had my hand in a bucket of ice and puking in the toilet? Like, that was pretty bad. That was straight vodka that night. Straight vodka. No chasers. So I would stumble in that question dead ass sober, because you'd make me think about, wait a minute, where was that point? And so I kind of don't like that question. It kind of almost feels like entrapment. It's like a trick question. It's like, when did you stop beating your wife? Yeah. Anyway, excuse me. I was thinking about that. I was watching that video and I had to go back to that point because my mind had wandered into that weird little dialogue or monologue you just heard. All right. All right. Thanksgiving's coming up. Got to say grace. My family still says grace at meals. You can pull up that Norman Rockwell, beautiful Norman Rockwell. All of this stuff is so good. Anyway, so I want to talk about what I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving, because tomorrow's Turkey Day. You're all going to be with your family. And speaking of family, it's like I'm very thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my friends / patrons. There's a lot of bleed over in there, as you might imagine. You know, family and friends are obviously a bunch of my patrons, and I appreciate all of you. You can also become family. But I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that a lot of my friends are doing very well. My very good friends are doing very well for themselves. I feel like I'm doing well for myself, but we'll come back to that. Of course, I'll come back to talking about myself sooner or later. Yeah, I'm glad I'm healthy at 48. You know, there's a lot of people I went to high school with, you know, some people like, yeah, I beat cancer twice. And they're like, oh my God, good for you. But holy cow, have I had it good when it comes to health. And so I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I'm much calmer and saner than I have been in the past. EK will attest to it. You know, you get him drunk, good luck, by the way. Get him drunk, good luck. He might tell you some horror stories about when the madman had like more testosterone in him. Angrier. I'm glad that I made peace with God. You were right. I was wrong. I was arrogant and stupid. You were right. I was wrong. Please be merciful. Please. Because some of the things I said to you, boy, I wouldn't forgive me, that's for sure. Most of all, I'm doing exactly, thank you, Lord, that I'm doing exactly what I wanted to be doing when I was like 18, 19 years old. Back then, I was going to school, Thomas Nelson Community College, for radio broadcasting. Well, I enrolled in classes. I never actually went to the classes. I was the only one who enrolled. So the guy who was at the radio station that was running the classes, he called me up personally and said, hey, we can offer you a job like minimum wage. We'll show you around the radio station and stuff like that. And I'm like, yes, please. I will. Yes, thank you, please. And I started learning about a radio station and stuff like that. But it was like easy listening, oldies, you know, just very bland station. And play top 40s and classics and stuff like that. I mean, it's not like it was unenjoyable music, but I mean, it wasn't anything edgy or anything like that. And I had to follow scripts in between for the commercial breaks and so forth. And I remember talking to this guy, it's like, how do I get to the point where I'm like Adam Carolla on Loveline? How do I get to that point? And he's like, well, you'd probably have to spend like a decade and a half, you know, doing the rote radio nonsense every morning. Maybe in a decade of doing that, you'll get invited to a morning radio show. Like I remember, if you remember, like FM, do they still have like morning radio shows on like FM radio? I don't know. I don't listen to that shit anymore. And so, and then you be a part of a morning show for a few years until some sort of like, you know, this guy grabs a girl at an event or some scandal happens and y'all break up and they have to reform under a different name. You know, it's because it gets crazy in those morning shows. And then maybe in 5 to 10 years after that, then you may get to a point where like you're like at a Rush Limbaugh level or at an Adam Carolla level where you could just sit on the radio show and speak your mind. And I think he said it would be faster if you went into sports commentating. And I was like, what, really? He's like, yeah, if you could sit there and like commentate on like hockey, for example, and you could prove that you could follow what's going on in hockey like in real time throughout the entire game. That shows that you have like a real mental acuity. And I was like, I could probably do that, but hockey bores the shit out of me. It's ping pong on ice. And then he said, well, you could do baseball. And if you do baseball, then you could prove that you could be interesting in between all this, spaces between something happens in baseball. And it's like, yeah, I do like baseball, but you're talking about 4 or 5 hour games. I'm going to have to pee. I'm going to need to smoke at some point, And so, and so I was thinking, it's like, oh man, the radio station got sold. I lost my job. And so I joined the Navy, and I was like, man, I think that dream is gone for good. And they're like, what do you want to be in the Navy? I'll be a radioman. It's like, well, what's that mean? It's like, I want to talk on the radio. Well, we have a rating called radioman. And it's like, that's good enough for me. And so I'm fixing computers. And then during that time, between the time I was working at the radio station and I don't know, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, maybe, the technology finally caught up to the point where anybody can have a radio show like this. It's now a video show. Granted, I mean, I did better on the radio because it was number one, a broadcast, and number two, without pre-internet broadcast. And number two, I really do have a face for radio. Sorry. And, and so I'm just very thankful to the Lord our God that I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do. And it wasn't the path I thought I'd be taking, and I was so discouraged that I'd never foresee, see that dream come to fruition. And you could sit there and say, oh, you only have 236 subscribers. What does it matter? And I was like, yeah, what does that matter? I don't care. The point is I'm doing what I want to do. I do this one hour show a week, and it's like therapy for me, basically. It's like, I don't need any help. I don't need any psychological help because I do this show. Anyway. Let's do a movie review before we go to the news. What do you say? You like them? I like them. And I really think you would like this movie, no matter who you are. It's called All My Friends Hate Me, 2021 British movie. So -2 stars right off the bat for being British and paced Britishly, as British pacing, and which is slow. It's slow, and it's about this guy. He's got this girlfriend, and he's going upstate, as we would say in America. He's going out to the country with his friends to meet his old friends from high school and stuff like that, and party with them for a weekend. And he's like having a conversation with his girlfriend. He's like, yeah, they used to call me the skipper because I was the captain of the party. And I was like, oh, this guy's kind of annoying. And she's like, oh, okay, whatever. And so he drives all the way up there, and he kind of gets lost, and he pulls over the side of the road. There's this like farmer guy on the side of the road, and he goes, excuse me, sir, except they all are British. Excuse me, sir. They have British accents. And accents actually come into play in this. And so this guy comes up and he goes, yeah, how can I help you? He's like, oh, I'm looking for this place called such and such manor or whatever. And he's like, do you know where that is? And he's like, yeah, I do. Could you tell me where it is? Yeah, I can. And the guy's, he's just messing with him, right? And this is just what people do, who have a sense of humor. He's just messing with the guy, and finally he's getting kind of irritated, and he's like, tells the guy where it is. And he's like, oh, I'm just yanking your chain. Up there, go take a left, blah, blah, blah. The guy gets up to the house, and he comes in with like a champagne bottle. Like, here he comes the skipper. Opening the champagne bottle, he comes in the house, and no one's there. He's like looking around the house. No one's there. It's like, what's going on? And so he just ends up like drinking by himself in the house, wondering what's going on. Like, I don't know, like after dark, a few hours later, his friends come back, and they're like, oh, there you are. Why didn't you come meet us? And he's like, what do meet you? You weren't here. We were supposed to meet here. It's like, no, didn't you get our note? It's like, what note? And they came and they showed him this note he didn't notice. They said, oh, he went down to the pub or whatever like that. Come meet us. And he he never found it. And he thought it was like, oh, they all hate me and shit like that. But they show up back to the house and they bring this guy they met down at the pub. So they say. And this guy, he's a real cut up. He's like an attention grabbing kind of guy. And it's the main character's birthday. The guy who all his friends hate him. It's his birthday. And he's like, man, this guy's taking all the thunder. It's like, I can't be me. Because this guy, the guy's weird, kind of weird towards him. Like the main character's taking a bath. And I forget the character's name. But he walks in while he's naked in the bathtub. And it messes with him while he's in the bathtub, and it kind of makes him uncomfortable, freaks him out. And so he's going around talking to his friends. It's like, does he have to be here? You know, it's like, I don't really like that guy. And in the meantime, they're all saying like, you know, there's like kind of a happy birthday thing going on for him. And people are talking like, hey, remember what kind of a jerk you were back in high school? You remember way back then when you're such a jerk? And it was like, no, I don't remember. It's like, what's up with the northern accent, man? I guess that matters, you know, to British people. It's like, why are you speaking in a northern accent? It's because you're living in the north now. You got a northern girlfriend and stuff like that. And friends being friends, breaking his balls, but he's just getting more and more irritated, right? He's like, why is a stranger here? It's supposed to be my birthday. Everyone's making fun of me, the way I talk. And a bunch of other stuff happens and there's relationship stuff. It's like I said, it's Britishly paced. And finally, they get a guy to come in and pretend to be the main character. It's like, I'm him, you know. It's like, I speak with a northern accent. And they roast him. All right? They roast him. It's like, oh, my girlfriend's so important. I don't care about Claire anymore. But stuff like that. And he's like, this is way too personal. This is way too personal. Also, there's a scene where they were like, they pull it. This is what British people do. Let's pull out the gear, and that's when they start doing cocaine. And he does cocaine, and then he immediately becomes like very douchey, like obviously a douchey, you know. And people talk about, oh, you don't remember back when you beat up that wizard guy, that guy dressed like a wizard. You don't remember that when you mistreated him so? And it's like, nah, I don't remember. But there's plenty of scenes that prove that cocaine turns people into assholes. It really does. And so there's a couple of scenes with cocaine and like raves. And I'm just like, people who do that kind of stuff are assholes, straight up. All right. And so they roast him at the end of the movie, and they're just roasted him. And he just has enough, and he throws a fit, like a fit. And they're just like, what's wrong with you, dude? What is wrong with you? You know, you can't take a joke. You don't have any kind of sense of humor about yourself. You need to grow the fuck up, you know? And that's the message of the movie, you know, is to have a sense of humor about yourself. You know, it's to learn to take a joke and let people bust your balls, you know? Return fire. If somebody's busting your balls, you got to return fire. That's all there is to it. I don't know. I guess it's something that, you learn very quickly in the military, but I guess for some people, it's a very tough lesson to learn. And I thought that was a really good message. So All My Friends Hate Me, and it's 11 of 13 stars. And it's a pretty good movie, and kind of I don't know. It's like you feel like, what? I don't think that his friends are wrong to hate him, because he's kind of a douche through the entire movie. It's just that he's low key in the beginning, then he gets into the gear and becomes super douche. Anyway, 11 to 13 stars, great message. But Claire, the actress who plays Claire, Antonia Clark, oh my God, I fell in love with this woman. She is gorgeous. She plays Claire in the movie, and I immediately was like, who is this woman? You know, she's 30 years old. Here's the problem. You shouldn't learn too much about these people. But she's a 10. I cannot think of improving upon this. All right. She is a 10. She's 30 years old, and I started reading her Wikipedia page, and I was like, oh, no. I can't learn too much about these chicks. They're like, oh, she has a something-a-doodle dog. I'm like, okay. Her favorite book is To Kill a Mockingbird. And I'm like, oh, okay. So just another actor. Just an empty vessel. Fill up with a personality that she thinks. She thinks her favorite book should be To Kill a Mockingbird. She thinks she should own a Labradoodle. But honey, you need a Great Dane like me, you know? A Great Dane. I'm like Marmaduke. She is hot as hell. Anyway, let's get on to the news worth knowing. Video shows aftermath of violent neighborhood street takeover. Am I in the right one? Okay. Baby, come back. Video shows aftermath of violent neighborhood street takeover. The left couple battered in planned attack. We're not going to show the video. That takes way more. Is it bandwidth? Damn it. Preparation than I have available. Newly released video shows the aftermath, blah, blah, blah. Is there an echo in here? It is planned attack in New York City. Planned attack is in quotes. The incident broke out about 12:30 a.m. on Sunday after a large group of drivers descended to South Drive and 141st Street in Malba, neighborhood located in Queens, according to the NYPD. I cannot clear this shit. Anyway. All right. The incident broke out. Okay. The vehicles were seen speeding all over residential lawns and doing donuts in the street as the scene devolved into chaos, according to the video shared by City Councilwoman Vicky Palladino, who represents the neighborhood. As the events unfolded, Larry Rush, R-U-S-C-H, good name, private security guard who lives in the area, heard the commotion outside his home and went out to discover approximately 40 vehicles speeding through the street, according to the New York Post. In an attempt to defuse the situation, Rush reportedly parked one of his vehicles in the intersection to try to block drivers from causing more damage. Bold. As soon as I did that, everyone started leaving, Rush told the Post. Then two individuals got up to the car. Somehow they threw some kind of firework or something and lit the car up. Then melee started again. Video shared by Palladino shows a vehicle burning in the middle of the residential street as several cars speed around it. Additionally, local resident Blake Furrer was injured attempting to defend his property from a rowdy group of drivers. When I came out, I said, "Bro, you got to get the F off my property." Yeah, he told the outlet. That's when it all started. The mob turned their attention towards him, with additional footage showing the group of individuals alleging attacking the homeowner and his wife, leaving the man with a broken nose, shoulder, and ribs. Third resident had also had objects thrown at his car during the incident, blah, blah, blah. It's cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. Yeah. The problem is like we haven't been arresting we've been arresting people like that, but they're certainly not staying in jail. There's way too many liberals. There's way too many women judges. You can judge, women judges are just, they're such a nice little, over police black guy. It's not that he's actually a criminal, I'm not saying I've not seen the videos. I don't know the race of the people involved, but I'm sure there's a mix because, every dude likes fast cars. You know what I'm saying? And so, but the problem is that these guys haven't been caught and haven't been punished enough to realize that this is not how you behave in our society, cops need to be more involved, but they can't, especially in places like New York. I've heard plenty of cops saying that like, they just don't want to get involved anymore. Something's going on. They just look the other way, walk away, because something's going to happen. They're like racist. They're like, oh, I can't breathe. Or some shit like that is going to go down. They're going to catch it on video. Then my life is ruined no matter what the criminal was fucking doing. We need to stop caring about that. All right. You need to enforce the law, and to hell with the way the media perceives it or spins it. The government has the authority. All right. Law enforcement has the authority. I don't care how many videos get made about how, he was unjustly arrested. Don't give me that nonsense. Bring justice back. I miss that motherfucker. Let's go to the next story. University school districts nationwide call for decolonizing Thanksgiving, day of mourning. Why do you got to make everything a bummer? You know? Why are you always in a bad mood? Why can't you just be happy and be with your family? Anyway, as families across the U.S. gathered on Thanksgiving to celebrate one of the nation's most cherished national holidays, some educators and schools are lamenting the day, pushing back on its colonial roots and incorporating diversity, equality, and inclusion, DEI, into the holiday. At the University of California, Davis, the California History Social Science Project, which describes itself as a resource in professional learning for K-12 history social science, hosted a Zoom event called Decolonizing Thanksgiving in the Classroom. Quote, we'll discuss reframing classroom practices and rituals about Thanksgiving, the event description explained. Centering perspectives from Turtle Island, the name for North America before some indigenous people, used by some indigenous people, will help us decolonize Thanksgiving and spark new conversations about how to authentically make the meaning of this holiday with our students. Do I need to read anymore? She called it Turtle Island, where we are right now. She called it Turtle Island. You know why they called it Turtle Island? Because they thought they were riding on the back of a big turtle. They didn't have writing. They did, well, the Mesoamericans did. They had smart ones down south. But up here, it was Turtle Island. It was a bunch of potheads. It blew their minds when they saw a horse. And it should have. It should have blown their minds. They should have been scared. That should have been like the harbinger of doom for them. But it's okay because they're still around. All right? It's not like they got to worry about money. Okay? I don't want to hear more whining about the Native Americans. I'm still mad about the pumpkins they brought. They brought the pumpkins on the first Thanksgiving. They're like, yeah, that's food. Go ahead, eat it. Oh my God, he's eating it. He's eating it. I'm still mad about that. Or maybe I have no right to be mad about that because that didn't happen to me. Anyway, it's these educators are not giving up. Now, I've mentioned the problem many times about the teachers' unions and the fact that education is run by women and women are susceptible to trends like, transgenderism. Yeah, that's a thing now. They're all 100% on board with that. Yeah, America's bad because we took Turtle Island and named it United States of America. It's actually Turtle Island. Get bent, lady. We brought civilization to them to the point that they're smoking weed for so long, and then all of a sudden when they show up, it's like, what's this whiskey you're talking about? And that became a problem for them too. All right? Generally speaking, not everyone, obviously. But there's trends. It's okay to notice trends. All right? Bringing technology, bringing civilization to this country was a very good thing. And you know what? Thanksgiving represents them coming together, all the peoples coming together to enjoy the bounty of the harvest. All right? Before it gets cold. And we all need to start living like dogs, sleeping together, because it's going to get cold. And no one invented a heater yet. Wood stoves, they were around. Okay. Yeah, I'm done. I mean, why do you got to ruin everything? Try to ruin everything. Have a good time. That's the problem. They're all miserable cat ladies. They wish they had kids. And so because they don't have kids, they think their students are their kids. Or the downtrodden in society, i.e. black people, i.e. immigrants. Those become their little babies they have to protect. No. They didn't do the right thing in their lives. They should have found a husband and listened to him. And because none of them have a husband at home that they're listening to, even if they do have a husband, they're not listening to him. They go to school. They go to these schools and they brainwash these children with all this nonsense. All right. This is the next story here is kind of touching on the subject I want to talk. Eric Swalwell says military can be a check on Donald Trump to save us. Okay. So California gubernatorial candidate and Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell claimed that members of the military are telling him that they can be a check on President Donald Trump. On Don Lemon's show on Monday, Swalwell discussed the controversy over a video of 6 Democratic lawmakers urging service members to, quote, refuse illegal orders from Trump. The Department of War announced on X that it launched a formal review into allegations of misconduct against Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, a retired Navy captain, for appearing in the video. Swalwell argued that the Trump administration told on itself by going after Kelly for his call to resist illegal orders, and revealed that some service members have been behaving as a checking on the president. Quote, what gives me hope, and I talk to service members all the time, they tell me that I don't appreciate enough the public, and the public doesn't appreciate enough that while Congress is not a check on the president anymore, the judiciary at the Supreme Court is hardly a check. Military members have told me we can be a check. They're essentially saying we're not going to betray our oath to the Constitution because this guy tells us to. While it's not codified that way, they're not a branch of government on their own. Their honor and integrity might just save us. Swalwell agreed with Lemon that the Trump administration, by extension, Republicans, are now telling service members to ignore the Constitution. Quote, to me, the only reason you'd go after Mark Kelly is if he's telling soldiers you don't have to follow an unlawful order, and they don't, is if you intend to carry out unlawful orders, Swalwell said. If you don't intend to carry out unlawful orders, why do you care that somebody would say that? Boy, this is an old trick, isn't it? This is an old trick. You know, I was in the military, and you know this story, I hope, that you've been following this, that these Democrats, these ex-military Democrats came out and said to the military members, it is your duty to not follow any illegal order. And that's true. And all service members know this, or they should know it, that it's your duty to not follow any illegal orders. Like say Second Lieutenant Johnson had a beef with First Lieutenant Miller. All right, Second Lieutenant Johnson has a beef with Miller, and so he comes to me, Sergeant Robbins, says, Sergeant Robbins, I order you to kill Lieutenant Miller. That's obviously an illegal order, all right? And you don't have to follow it. In fact, you should report Lieutenant Johnson, all right? We know what are legal orders and what are illegal orders, and we certainly don't need these ex-military biased, lost. They were on the team at one point, but now they're lost members of Congress who are coming out there implying that the current commander-in-chief of the armed forces is giving out illegal orders. Obviously, you can't call it slander. You can't call it libel. They're just pointing out, hey, by the way, you have the right to not follow illegal orders. That's what they're doing. And Trump can say crazy shit like he always does. I'm going to shoot him for treason. You know, aren't you used to that by now? Of course he's not going to shoot him for treason because he has no case that is treason. You know, but the way that they cough and point at this clause in the military, you know, is very suspect. But I don't think there's anything legally you can do to them. Sorry. All right. What I will say to the members of the military who intend to disobey orders is, court-martial is a weird word, isn't it? COURTS-MARTIAL. That's a strange word. Seems like it was borrowed from the French or something. I don't know. But court-martial, and if you're in the Navy or the Marine Corps, I think you go to mast, captain's mast. So, and then maybe you'll get discharged from the military, and then you're maybe other than honorable or maybe dishonorable discharge, and you're going to have a hard time getting a really good job, you know, because you screwed up and disobeyed a legal order, you know. And also, additionally, this only really falls onto National Guard. This only really applies to National Guard troops who are in our cities right now trying to keep the peace. Because I don't know if you know, it's bad out there. All right. And so if those National Guard members are going to say, hey, yeah, we shouldn't be doing this. This is an illegal order from the president. And it's like, do you know how many layers there are between the soldier on the street and the president? The soldier's got to talk to a squad leader. Squad leader talks to the sergeant. Sergeant talks to the top sergeant. Top sergeant talks to the lieutenant. Lieutenant talks to the, I got to think about Army ranks now. Talks to the captain. The captain talks to the major. Major talks to Lieutenant Colonel. Lieutenant Colonel talks to the Colonel. Colonel talks to the Admiral. Admiral talks to the four-star Admiral. Four-star Admiral talks to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Joint Chiefs of Staff talks to the President. There are so many layers that will stop this dead in its tracks. You turn to your squad leader, says, "Squad leader, I believe that this is an illegal order." It was like, well, you got to go back to the rear. You're going to be, administratively disciplined. Go tell them what you told me. Go tell the sergeant what you told me. You'll laugh in your face and you're going to get yourself in trouble for no reason. Don't be stupid like these ex-military Democrats. How do you serve in the military and end up a Democrat? I really don't understand that. Anyway, let's go to the next story because this is messed up. Colorado parents say school silenced daughter after transgender rooming incident as legal fight escalates. Colorado families outrage over their 11-year-old daughter, 11-year-old, being assigned a hotel room and ultimately the same bed with a transgender student during an overnight school trip to Washington, D.C. It has evolved into a high-stakes federal appeal over parental rights and school transparency. Quote, they say that they didn't want to talk to us about it because they wanted to protect the privacy of the other student. And our thoughts were, well, what about the privacy of our daughter? Demanded Serena Wales, the mother who says the school district failed to inform her that one of the students assigned to the room was biologically male. According to the Wales family, the daughter only learned the truth upon arriving on the 2023 overnight trip and immediately called her mother, who was serving as a chaperone at the same event, in distress. Thank goodness. Although the school ultimately allowed the girl to switch rooms, she was allegedly instructed not to discuss the reason for the change. A directive her parents argue reflects a broader pattern of secrecy within the Jefferson County public schools. Quote, we didn't talk to the school after this. We looked at different options. We felt like the best course was to take legal action to make a difference. Joe Wales, the father suing the school district, told the Ingram Angle on Tuesday. There are several issues going on with Jeffco schools, at Jefferson County, I guess, schools where we didn't feel like we'd be heard. We didn't feel like we'd get anywhere by talking directly to the school or even the district. We felt like we needed to do something to take a bigger action. Alliance Defending Freedom, a conservative legal organization focused on religious liberty cases, filed its opening brief Wednesday at the Wales versus Jefferson County Public Schools before the U.S. Court of Appeals of the 10th Circuit on behalf of the 4 families. The suit claims Denver area district permits biologically male students to share overnight accommodations with girls based solely on gender identity without notifying the parents or obtaining their consent. Claims to be the incident. It also claims that the incident happened despite the district's assurances that boys and girls would be placed on separate hotel floors. Matt Sharp, ADF attorney who also joined the Ingram Angle on Tuesday, said the organization hopes to see the policy enjoined and ultimately changed. I remember that, going on trips and like the boys and the girls are on different floors, and you got like chaperones sitting in the stairwells just waiting just waiting for the guys to come down, Anyway, school trips, band trips. Wow, that's pops memories back in my head. Anyway, so yeah, this is friggin' crazy. Here's the point. What I was saying earlier is that the school system is run by these women, and these women are all on board with this ridiculous nonsense. And so all the way up until the point when they're planning this trip, all the way up to this point, they just thought it'd be okay to put an 11-year-old girl and an 11-year-old boy. Think about that. That also implies that there's an 11-year-old transgender boy. Transgender girl. It is a boy. And that's the problem. And they all assumed it wasn't going to be an issue. It's like, haven't you heard of What is a Woman by Matt Walsh? I mean, how are you not realizing this bullshit is over? We're done with this. We're done with this nonsense. And I think I've said this before, like in history books 20 years from now, they're going to laugh at us. Me too. Even though I've been against this from the beginning, they're going to laugh at our generations for allowing this nonsense to go on. And I can't believe, and that's why we got to we got to start cleaning house in the education system, because it's nothing but these miserable school marm bitches running these schools. Anyway, 2 happier stories, and then we'll get out of here. Okay. That kind of hurt. Temple staff stunned to hear knocking from inside a coffin brought in for cremation. Don't worry, this isn't in the United States. All right. I'll wet my whistle here. A 65-year-old Thai woman, believed to be dead, stunned temple staff in Bangkok when they heard a faint knocking from inside her coffin after her brother brought her in for cremation. Oh boy. Parat Sutup, General and Financial Affairs Manager of the Wat Rat Pak Hong Tam Temple, told the Associated Press on Monday that he was discussing cremation with the woman's brother when he heard a noise coming from inside the coffin. I said, "Did you hear that?" He said, "No." I'm kidding. Here's a real quote. I was a bit surprised, so I asked him to open the coffin, and everyone was startled. He said, "I saw her opening her eyes slightly and knocking on the side of the coffin. She must have been knocking for quite some time." The Buddhist temple, here's some more hard words coming, in Nonthaburi province outside Bangkok posted a Facebook video showing a woman in a white coffin in the back of a pickup truck moving her arms and head, leaving staff stunned. Parat said the woman's brother had driven from Phitsanulok province to be cremated. Is that a long way? I don't know. Parat said her brother explained that his sister had been bedridden for 2 years and her health had declined, and she appeared to stop breathing 2 days earlier. Believing she was dead, he placed her in a coffin and made the 300-mile trip to Bangkok. I guess I should have waited. Where he wished to donate her organs. The hospital, however, refused to accept the woman without an official death certificate. Yeah, I mean, you just, oh, she's dead, throw her in a box and take her. Let's see if we can make some money off the organs. Hospital, however, refused to accept her without a death certificate. Parat said. The brother then turned to the temple on Sunday, which offers free cremations, and was also turned away for lacking the document. While Parat was like, screw it, I'm not going to make it. While Parat was explaining how to obtain the certificate, they heard knocking on the coffin. They opened it and saw she was alive and sent her to the nearby hospital. The abbot later said that the temple would cover her medical expenses, according to Parat. Just for being there, being a part of it. I wonder if it's like nothing ever happens at that temple, and they're like, "Oh, this is so exciting! It's a very exciting day at the temple." Damn Thailand. You've heard of what like the third world before, right? There is such a thing. Bangkok is a major city in this world. All right. And there's a Twilight Zone episode, I'm sure I mentioned it before, called The Last Rites of Jeff Myrtlebank. And it's a story about a guy who he was there at his funeral, wakes up and sits up out of his coffin. He's a different guy, Anyway, but that happened in like rural America in the 1920s, and the doctor was an idiot. And he's like, no, well, there's no way I could have pronounced him dead and been wrong, kind of thing going on. But this is Bangkok, Thailand. This is a major area, highly dense population. There's got to be some doctors around. It's like, sure, you can argue, oh, well, all the good doctors in Thailand go to a nicer place like the United States and Australia, something like that. Fair. But in the third world, it's just, this kind of stuff will happen. Your brother just throws you in a box and tries to sell your organs. So, yeah, I know we all think we're equal, but not all societies are equal. Not all religions are equal. Not all people are equal. Under the law, we are. Under the law, we should be. But people aren't equal. Stop pretending that they are. All right, this last story, and we'll get out of here. Believe it or not. All right, so a North Carolina driver says bald eagle dropped cat through her windshield. You may not believe me. I just had a bald eagle drop a cat through my windshield, the driver told a dispatcher. A driver in North Carolina told a dispatcher that a cat carcass, tongue twister, had crashed into her windshield along a highway after the feline was dropped from the sky by a bald eagle. Doesn't say if it's on purpose or not. The woman called 911 on Wednesday morning to report the incident, saying that a bald eagle had dropped the cat into a passenger side of the front windshield on U.S. Route 74 in Swain County near Bryson City, located about 65 miles southwest of Asheville. It is unclear if the cat slipped from the eagle's talons or was dropped intentionally. You may not believe me. How could we ever know if it was intentional? Anyway, you may not believe me, but I just had a bald eagle drop a cat through my windshield. The driver said on the 911 call, it absolutely shattered my windshield. Dispatcher calmly responded, okay, I do believe you honestly, before laughing. Driver said another person also observed the cat. You saw that, didn't you? He's like, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, really? The driver said, that's a very useful quote to put in this story. Dispatcher replied, oh my goodness, let's see. I've heard crazier. Well, that's terrifying. The caller responded, prompting a more nervous laughter. What do you think the dispatcher's here? Anyway, after receiving the driver's location, dispatcher said he would send the highway patrol to conduct a report. Another question, is the cat still alive? Dispatcher asked. The cat was not alive. The caller said that the cat was on the other side of the road rather than inside her vehicle. Did it bounce back out? Okay, I just have to ask to make sure the dispatcher asked. North Carolina Wildlife, yeah, because wildlife would have to come out. North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission, Kendrick Weeks, said the cat could have been roadkill grabbed by the eagle. But they could take an animal the size of a cat. It's much harder for them to keep a live cat than a dead cat, obviously. They don't usually prey on something they don't find palatable, and scavenging is a common behavior in bald eagles. The Weeks said eagles and other raptors can drop prey for several reasons, including doing a poor grip, or if the prey is biting or otherwise struggling, and the birds are wanting to prevent injury to themselves. Why'd you pluralize birds there? If the bird wanting to prevent injury. Prey can also be dropped if a raptor, which is the type of bird that bald eagle is being harassed by another bird, or if the prey becomes too heavy to carry. You lose interest. Some raptors drop prey to kill it. The tactic is uncommon for bald eagles. Do you think it went down like this? Oh, a bald eagle. Whoa! Or do you think like the cat hit the windshield, and then you pull over and you looked around, and you're like, what? And all you see is a bald eagle in the sky laughing at your ass. Dropped by a cartoon bald eagle? Or the Muppet bald eagle? What's that guy's name? Sam? What? Uncle Sam? Sam Worthington? That's an actor, isn't it? Who's the Muppet eagle? Hold on a second. Let me look that up. Who is the Muppet eagle? Drummer came up first. Eagle. What's his name? Sam Eagle. Well, I'm so glad I wasted a few seconds on that. Not every Google search is worthwhile. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, this is going to be the end of the show. I'll remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron. Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. You can also send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. You can follow me on social media over here at Instagram at SLRobbins13 on Instagram, at DNALETSAW on the Twitters, and Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. I want you to have a happy Thanksgiving. Spend time with your family. Touch grass, as they say, even if it's cold. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.